George, he's my ancestor 8 generations ago. He was born in 1776 in St. Augustine, Florida. Flora was a slave in the Leslie house. They became lovers, and then a few years later, George was able to purchase Flora, and by 1808, Flora has 500 acres in her name. You know, born into slavery, but then she becomes a landholder and she carries a large amount of prestige. There was never a photograph, there was never any representation of her. So she was faceless, but I thought about the materials. It was really important. I used muslin and then silk organza. And that was because the muslin being a very common cloth, with the organza being a very polished cloth. I wanted it to tell, you know, just in lineage, just the women between Flora and I. You know, I'm really interested in sense of place in my work. I'm interested in the land, the landscape. Those flowers are representative of all of the slaves that never made it to shore. And then the threads are representative of them jumping. Little Dreams is really part of the family story, and they're having to pack up their little dreams of their home, their land, their lives, which are, you know, forever in Florida. You know, George is buried in Florida. He's quoted as saying that when he's lived his life in the theater of St. Augustine, in his death, he just wants to be buried under a shade tree. And so that is my piece in just kind of giving him a peaceful place under his shade tree.